Former West Ham striker Tony Cottee joined talkSPORT yesterday. He didn't hold back when asked for his thoughts on Lopetegui.
I think they should hang their heads in shame, Tim Steidten and David Sullivan and the board and that, because it's just a pathetic appointment. They should never have done it in the first place. And, I just can't believe what they do sometimes. Obviously West Ham's my club. I care passionately about it, as you know. And it was just so the wrong appointment. And, yes, you can blame Lopetegui. He's been poor. He's made bad decisions tactically. He's been all over the place. They've spent lots of money defensively. God knows how many goals they've conceded. But Tim Steiden's director of football. David Sullivan's in charge of the football side of things from the board's point of view. They've got to take responsibility. They can't keep making these stupid mistakes. If you're going to change the manager and get rid of what was one of the most successful managers in West Ham's history in terms of winning the trophy, that is, you've got to make the right appointment.
And it's not for me to disagree with Tony Cottee, but I tell you what, when you look at Julen Lopetegui's CV, you could see why West Ham wanted him. And he's ex-manager of Spain, for goodness sake. Porto, Real Madrid, Seville, Wolves. He's got a great CV. So potentially, it could have been wonderful.
I thought David Moyes did quite well there.
Let's not go down that path again.
Jim, where are you, mate?
Yeah, I haven't heard from Jim this morning. Not yet. He must be having a sleep in today. Let's find out what a former Hammer thinks. It's a very good morning to their former striker, Dean Ashton. Morning to you, Dean.
Good morning, Dean. How are you?
Good morning, fellas. Very good, thank you.
Great.
So we assume that Lopetegui is going to be going. What would you make of an appointment of Graham Potter, possibly just till the end of the season?
First of all, I hope Julian knows about this, because everyone else seems to know.
I know.
It's just ridiculous. Ali, you've been a manager. It must be crazy to wake up and read all these things and see the headlines and you're still in a job. But obviously the writing's been on the wall pretty much since he got appointed. And I agree with a lot with what Tony said in terms of it was a great opportunity after the foundations that were laid, brilliant foundations by David Moyes and the club in terms of the position that they were in and the excitement actually about the recruitment in the summer. And then that's all been ruined basically by, let's be honest, it was a cheap appointment. The CV's there, like you said, Jeff, but it was a cheap appointment in terms of the finances of bringing Lopetegui in the position that he was in. I'm sure he jumped at the chance. And it's gone horribly wrong. And ultimately, they've got it very, very wrong in terms of that person that needs to be in that West Ham dugout either has to have wonderful players that can do what David Moyes did, which is do things on the counter-attack, or they've got to have this incredible personality. And he's had neither of those. And ultimately, they're in big trouble at the moment. If things don't pick up quickly, they are very much in a relegation battle, and it's ultimately the club's fault.
The one thing you got to say, Dean, it's not as if they haven't, brought people in the recruitment year. I thought, looking at it, it's been all right. Obviously, Phil Krug, Keelman, Somerville and boys like that. So, you could argue that the board have supported the manager.
Yeah, and there was no doubt there was a huge amount of excitement. Somerville in particular, absolutely outstanding in the Championship last season, and had shown in the Premier League he could perform. But then he's been left on the bench for most of this season, and sort of comes on now and again, which is a strange decision. And Fulkrug's obviously been injured, but you can't get away from certainly the defensive side of West Ham's play has been absolutely disastrous. And once again, I don't want to harp about on one player, but Mavropanos came on against Manchester City and they conceded 2 goals within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
He's had a really tough season, and for whatever reason just cannot get to grips with the way that the manager wants to play. And like I said, they're in big trouble.
Graham Potter seems to be the only horse in the race at the moment. Now, when he was at Chelsea, I think it's fair to say he left with his reputation damaged. How confident are you that he is the man to rebuild West Ham?
I think he's a great candidate. I think that he'll have really learned from that experience. You could tell it was a massive job for him, but you don't know that until you're in the position. I think he'll have gone away and reflected. He seems like that type of character. ultimately, I think he would be excited with what he could do with that group of players. I know, obviously, Bowen and Antonio missing is absolutely huge. But I would like to think he would understand certainly what the supporters would like. And that actually, with the recruitment that they'd had, that there are a lot of good players in that West Ham squad, and that they're able to produce something far greater than what they have done so far this season, and change the negativity very, very quickly. And I think he would see it as a real opportunity. But I would like to think that he isn't naive enough not to think that support is absolutely huge at that football club, easily as big, if not bigger, than Chelsea, and he'd soon find that out.
Dean, just a quick one, mate. I don't know if you saw it last night. I bet you're enjoying Forest like we are, mate.
I am, yes, especially as a big lump of a centre forward. I love watching Chris Wood just sort of watch all the action happen around him, wait in the penalty area, and then just tap one in. It's just magnificent, isn't it?
It's an easy game, isn't it, mate?
Oh, it's magnificent. Just get me back. Get me back.
Yeah, no, that was brilliant. What a run from Callum Hudson-Odoi as well. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Dino, thank you very much indeed,
Thanks,
mate.
Dean. See you soon.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.